My name is Claire Oberon Garcia. I'm a professor of English at Colorado College in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I am also the newly appointed Colorado State Historian. My primary responsibility as state historian is to make accessible to the public all the amazing stories of the people and peoples who have made the state the way we are today and whose experiences in the past will inflect our future. We have a wonderful program called Blaxplanation. The Blaxplanation team is dedicated to expanding the public's knowledge about Black experience in Colorado, so beyond slavery or formerly enslaved people, but really focusing on African Americans in Colorado in broader context, so diasporic context, political context. My educational journey was a bit unusual, I think. For starters, I never graduated from high school or got a GED. After 11th grade, I went to one of the first early colleges in the United States, which is Simon's Rock, which is now part of Bard College. I was a creative writing and philosophy double major at Bennington College. So I worked for a while in public television, first in the dance television workshop, a field producer for arts and culture at WGBH, which was the perfect job for me because it meant that I got to go out in the field and interview mostly writers, but occasionally ballet dancers or other creative people. And I should note that I am the first Colorado State historian in the history of the Colorado History Society who is not the historian officially. These two photographs are of my parents, and it was taken in Oak Bluffs on Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. And since before the Civil War, Oak Bluffs was a vacation spot for Black working families in the Boston area. It's just a ferry ride away. I grew up in a family that really loved to read. Like, our house was full of books. We had a strong family culture of reading aloud to each other, but also a love of traveling. And so starting with my mother's side of the family, that most of her family had been for generations in a small village outside of Montgomery, Alabama. She did most of her growing up under segregation. Even though they were so restricted by their educational possibilities, her side of the family were always dreamers and always were able to imagine despite the poverty of their early years. She was an artist, both she and her older sister, and just headed off on the cheapest tickets possible and headed off to Paris. My father's side of the family was similar. The Ferguson side of my family is very entrepreneurial, but always really valued education, really valued activism, using your knowledge to help change the world. And again, both my parents grew up, and even my first years, I think I was maybe 9 or 10 when Howard Johnson's decided to desegregate. So I actually had a front row. I think everyone's familiar with the idea that history is written by the winners. What we're trying to do now, especially at History Colorado, is really have a more inclusive sense of history. You know, all of the people, all of the peoples in the past, how their lived experiences inflected and shaped communities as well as policies. Just as our past is shared, our future is shared. And knowledge, as Anna Julia Cooper said, is power.